All right, now we're gonna learn a few more tools, including the slip and slide tools. We're also gonna learn how to add images to our timeline and how to fade out our music at the end. So let's jump in. So we last left off previewing the first 4 shots that we trimmed up, and I like everything that I'm seeing here, but there is one thing that I wanna tweak here at the end with this last shot. I don't like how we start to walk away at the end of it, but then it's like our action gets abruptly stopped. So I would prefer that the shot ended here before we start to walk away. And so what I could do is I could drag the end of the shot in and then scoot it over and then drag out the beginning of the shot. But there is an easier way called the slip tool. So far we've been using the selection tool over here. And with that, when you click and drag a clip, the clip moves on your timeline. Well, with the slip tool, when you click and drag a clip with that, you'll see that the clip is staying in the same position on the timeline, so it's not moving. But what is moving is the footage inside this little clip container. So that footage is slipping from left to right within the clip. And so it's changing the beginning and the ending frame for this clip. And we can see how these starting and ending frames of our clip are changing on the left and right of this preview screen here. So on the left side, we can see how the starting frame is changing, and on the right, how the ending frame is changing. But for now, I want to go back to this clip that we want to end before we start walking away. So we're going to use our slip tool here, and we're going to adjust this ending frame, and I'm just going to scoot it over until right before we start to walk away. So like right there, and I'm going to release that. And now if I play this back, we don't start to walk away, and that was much easier than what we did before, right? Okay, for our next shot, you can see that our picnic basket is closed here. And in our previous shot, our picnic basket is very much open. And so that's a continuity error, but I still like the shot. I want to use it. And so I think I'm going to cut to this extreme wide shot where there are a lot of distractions to make that break a little less noticeable. So I'm going to press the Command key while I click and drag this shot over here to insert it before that first one. Now, this is a very long shot. And let's just say I wanted to do a little time-lapse moment with this shot and speed it up in the video. I could go over here to another tool that I'm going to show you called the rate stretch tool. It's going to stretch the rate or the speed of our video. So if I drag in this clip with the rate stretch tool, and then I'm going to zoom in a little bit, you can see that this number here has popped up and it says 345%. That is the speed of our clip. It's gone from 100% normal speed to 345%. So you can use the rate stretch tool to speed your footage up, but you can also use it to slow it down. So I could drag out this clip and make it longer than it originally was. And now you'll notice that the speed of this clip has changed to only 54%.
And we're so slow.
Now you may notice that this slow motion footage is not smooth motion. It's a little choppy, and that's because our frame rate wasn't super high. So that's something you gotta keep in mind, that even though the rate stretch tool will slow down footage, you still gotta have a high enough frame rate for it to be smooth. And if you don't know what I'm talking about when I say frame rates, then you can watch my free lesson on that. It's linked down below. Now, if we look back at this clip that we were just looking at, you can see that Miles is in the process of handing me the fruit. And so for this next clip, we want to try to match that action as much as possible. And so to do that really fast, I'm going to need to be in beast mode. So you know I'm going to press the B key, which is going to get me my favorite tool, which is the ripple edit tool. With that tool, I'm going to drag in the beginning of my clip until those 2 frames at the top of the screen match each other. So I'm going to say right about there. Okay, now that I've made my cut at the beginning of this clip, I want to trim it at the end. And I know that I want to trim it right on the beat, so I'm going to press my Go to Next marker button. And now I just want to cut off everything after this playhead. And so to do that really fast, I'm going to press the W key. All right, what do you think? Should we play the whole thing back so far, see what it looks like? I think we should. Okay, that's where we left off, and I'm loving it so far. Like, the excitement is building. We about to get this picnic started, and if we go back to that last shot, yeah, it's like, you know, crescendo in. There's like this little music breakdown before, you know, the lyrics come in, and so it's a nice kind of transition point. And then if we look at this next shot, we're about to get into drinks and food. And so I kind of want to put in a visual transition to match the musical transition there. And so I think I'm going to use one of our location shots for that, which is often what I'll do. So I'm going to go to the end of my sequence here where I've got these location shots, these nature shots. And I want something with a little drama since our song feels dramatic there. That seems kind of serene, doesn't it? Boom. So we're going to snatch this one up. I'm going to press D to select this clip. I'm going to press Command C to copy it. Then I'm going to press X to ripple delete it. Now let's go back to that spot in our timeline where we were working. Go to the end of that clip. And then we can go up to the edit menu and go to paste insert to drop it on the timeline and shift everything down. And now we'll trim this shot up real fast. And let's play that back. Yes, I love how there's this dramatic light flare. At the same time, the music is amping up. And so I want you to look for those same moments in your own sequence. Think about how the music is and how you're going to match that with your visuals. All right, now let's learn another tool. I never use this tool, but I feel obligated to tell you about it anyway. And it's called the slide tool. Now, when we click and drag on a clip with the slide tool, the clip in the middle looks like it is sliding around on our timeline. Now, to me, I never really find a good reason to use this tool, but if you find one, then holla at your girl. Okay, now I'm just gonna sprinkle some magic fairy dust on here, fast forward time, and we are almost to the end of our edit.
Ooh.
So the last thing we've got here are those shots of us folding the blanket up right before we're gonna leave. And so let's add our next shot, which is us walking into the sunset here. And now all that's left to add is that Instagram post with our selfie shot. So I'm going to go over to my project panel, and then I'm going to use that little search bar at the top to search for Instagram, since that's in my image file name here. I'm going to click on my image file and press the comma key to insert it on my timeline. And you can import all sorts of image files into Premiere, including JPEGs, PNGs, GIFs, TIFFs, PSDs, Illustrator files, and more. Okay, you'll also notice that I've added a title to this image, which I definitely could have done in Premiere Pro, but that is for a later lesson. But now we've got a problem because our music keeps going way longer than our 1 minute time limit for this video. And so we need to cut it off, but we don't want it to just like abruptly stop and kill the mood. Instead, I want it to gradually fade out as we kind of fade off into the distance, right? So let's work on this audio track, and the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go and click on this lock icon over here to unlock the track so that we can make changes to it. And now you're gonna notice that we have this line in the middle of our audio track, and we're gonna use that in just a second. But first, if you don't see that line on your audio track, I want you to go to this little wrench icon here, and then I want you to make sure that Show Audio Keyframes is checked. I will explain why it's called keyframes in a later lesson, but just go with me for now, okay? Okay, so now that you got your line showing, you'll notice that when we hover over it, it's gonna let us drag it up or down. And that's letting us move the decibel level, these dBs, or the volume up or down for our audio track. Now that's cool, but it's not gonna let us fade the music out. To do that, we're gonna need the pen tool, which is the last tool that we're gonna cover in this lesson. So I'm gonna go over here to my toolbar, click on the pen tool here, which you can also get to by pressing the P key. And then this is gonna let me add points to this line. You see that little plus symbol, and that's gonna let me control the volume more precisely. So I'm gonna add 2 points to this line here. Then I'm gonna drag this second one down so the volume goes all the way to 0. And we've got this gradual incline here. And so now if I play this back, the music should fade out. Honey. And so that sounds great. Things have gotten quieter and quieter as our video comes to a close. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Now I can just press Shift G to make a cut, click to select it, and then delete the rest of it. Okay, now that we're done with this first fine cut, this is the point where ideally, if I had the time, I would step away because, you know, you get too in it. You're like too close to the material. You can't even see the story anymore. And so I would take a breather and then come back and see what it felt like, see if there were any other tweaks I wanted to make. It definitely helps in video editing to have some perspective. Anyway, that is what I did with this video, and here is how the final edit turned out. Well, now that you have seen how our cinematic sequence has turned out, it's time for you to finish fine cutting your own sequence, because in the next lesson, you're going to be exporting it. That means that you're going to want to test out the tools that we just covered. So try the slip and slide tools. Again, some people don't use these, so if you don't love them, don't worry about them. Test out the rate stretch tool that's going to let you change the speed of a clip, but make sure that you pay attention to your frame rate if you slow a clip down with this tool. And try fading out your music track with the pen tool. Besides those technical tasks, I also want you to keep these creative ones in mind when you're doing your fine cutting. You better make sure that you are drawing viewers into the scene at the start of your video. If you need a transition in your video, definitely consider your location or your close-up detail shots for that. Be sure that you match the emotion of the visuals with your music. Let them work together to affect your viewer. And finally, make sure that you leave the audience with the right final impression, the right feeling at the end. Once you reach the end, I want you to step yourself away from the edit, give it a few days, and then review things and see if you want to make any final refinements, and then move on to the next lesson where I'll teach you how to export your masterpiece from Premiere. Have fun making those fine cuts, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, y'all.